Red Vest Selling. Module 12. Measuring. Calculating the amount of flooring needed to cover a space is made easy with technology and today's measuring software. When a Measure Tech measures rooms in a home, the measuring program is designed to minimize overage as well as optimize seam placements. The following examples are designed to help you understand how carpet is measured and installed into a room, and why more material is necessary than just figuring the actual square footage of a space. Let's take a look at this first example.
Let's do a 10 foot by 10 foot room. Remember, carpet comes 12 feet wide. You have to buy a 12 foot by 10 foot piece to have enough to cover this room. That gives us enough to take that 10 by 10 and lay it into that room. The overage on this is 2 foot by 10 foot. That is actually 20 square feet of overage. You need to purchase 120 square feet to do this room in carpet. Now in this example, we have two spaces. We have a closet and a room, a 16 by 14 and a 3'6" closet. So we have carpet here. We're going to do this again, 12 foot wide. The first piece, if we run the carpet in this direction, the first piece needs to be 12 by 14 feet. So let's take that 14 footer and place it there. Now, you now have 4 foot wide by 14 feet in length. In order to fill this space in correctly, in order to fill it into what we call fill, we could actually take two pieces here. If we add an additional 7 feet, 7 plus 7 equals 14, we can take these two pieces and place them in here and here, and now we have covered this whole space. With the extra, we can take this small piece, this 3 foot by 6 foot, and place it into the closet. This gives us one T-seam, and the only overage on this job is this small sliver here. So again, we're going to go a 14-foot piece. Remember, the pile has to all go in this direction. That's what the arrows represent. So this first piece, when we place it in, we could also set it over to the side if we wanted to do a T-seam under a bed or a low traffic area. When we take these two pieces and lay them in, there's your fill, one T-seam. We take this last sliver and cover the closet. Now let's demonstrate this same room, but this time we're going to use a carpet with a pattern. When you have a pattern, you have to account for the pattern match, which means you need to purchase some extra carpet in order to match the carpet up. Again, we have 14 feet by 12 feet, so this first piece is going to be a 12 by 14 footer. It goes right here. Now on your second piece, we do not want to do a T-seam on the pattern. We want to try to do this in a full piece. When we lay this next piece in, it's not going to match up exactly because of the pattern match. So we actually have to order some extra, that extra pattern match, 24 inches, maybe 36 inches. So when we lay that piece in, you can see it doesn't match up. If you installed it like this, the pattern would not match up. The customer would be very unhappy. So we have to account for enough material to have enough to match the pattern up. When the installer does this and lays it in there, you can see the pattern matches up. You have some overage here, you have some overage here, but you now have enough to cover the whole space solid with one side seam straight into the closet. So in this case, you need a 14 footer, a 14 footer, and then add the pattern match to that second piece. Your first 14 footer goes in, we place it here. Your second piece goes in with the pattern match. We lay it in there. There's enough to lay the pattern in. Overage on the top and the bottom. All you have left are these two larger pieces left over. This is normal to have extra overage on a pattern match, and these can be used for a small area rug or some other use. Just explain that to your customer. In this example, we have a room that has a cutout in the corner. You can see it's 17 feet wide, 15 feet deep. The back wall is 11 feet wide, followed by a 7 footer and a 6 footer. There are two different ways that we can install this carpet. The first way is we will go ahead and run the mat in this direction. We will follow the same as the arrows. The first piece needs to be a 15-footer by 12-foot wide. When we take this piece and place it in, this will lay in right here, and you can see we now have a 5-foot by 8-foot piece left over. Remember, the carpet has to go in the same direction, and with the pile, if we turned it like this, it would look like it was a different color. It has to go in the same direction. So now what we've done is we've added an extra 4 feet here. 4 feet plus 4 feet equals 8. So when we lay these two pieces in, you have one T-seam and you have your room covered. Only one T-seam. The whole room is complete. This first piece comes over. Your two fill pieces come in. You've covered the entire room, and the only overage is this small 4-foot by 4-foot piece and this 2-foot by 7-foot piece. That is all the overage on this job. Now, if we were to install this job in the other direction, to where we would go left to right instead of up and down, we have to run the pile in this direction. So the first piece will actually be 17 feet. It'll have a cutout. When we place it in, you can see that it covers up this whole space. All we have left is a 3-foot by 11-foot fill at the top. Remember, this piece gets cut out of here, so when you place this piece over, you actually only have about a 5-foot by 3-foot piece to fill in. The way we do this is when we measure for the job, we add an extra 5 feet onto this job. And so what happens now is when you go to put the first piece in, you have a 17-footer, which goes here, and now we actually have a large fill piece. We've left the extra on it, the extra 5 feet, so when we put it in place, you've done this room with a single side seam and no T-seam. Now, to show you one more time, what we've done is we've ordered a 12 by 17 footer plus an extra 5 feet. When we place this first piece in and we leave this large piece intact, when we move it in place, you can see now that all we have left is this simple fill piece and the room is complete with one side seam.
You should now have a basic understanding of how flooring software measures and figures for carpet. There is always going to be some overage during an installation. This is normal and is the only way to assure the installer has enough material to complete the job. We also added 3 inches to each cut in each of these examples to account for room squareness and doorways. Also note that when carpet is ordered with the manufacturer, it is generally rounded up to the next even foot. So when the software calls for a 26-foot 6-inch piece, a 27-foot piece would be ordered. The same technology and logic used for 12-foot width carpets would also apply to 15-foot width carpets as well. Be sure to take the short quiz for this module to move you one step closer to earning your completion patch.